First thing I want to say also is I got to give a shout out to my friend Max. He just got engaged last week.
Max, congrats.
Brusnikin, he's a Russian guy, so got to give the love there.
It.
And I also just want to thank you for myself personally. I'm really grateful just for like all the content that you've created. And I think that you've been like a father figure, not only for myself, but for a lot of people like my age coming up, just trying to like navigate this world. I think that a lot of the content that you create inspires, and also like, you know, people that might not have that figure in their life.
I prefer older brother, but you know, kidding.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you. I'm 43. I was 21 when my dad was 43. So yeah, my dad had me at 22. So
wow.
It's funny that I'm of this age now where this was the age when I was really impacting Wine Library. Mm-hmm. So it's just crazy to think how young my dad was. So anyway, thank you. Let's get right into it because I want to give you as much time as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're very interesting because you're kind of like this digital guru in a sense. You're building a number of brands, and obviously you have this pulse on digital marketing more so than a lot of other people. But a lot of the content that you push out there, a lot of the content that you're creating, is baked in like philosophy, is baked in spirituality. It's very interesting to me. And I want to talk specifically to start about one perspective of that.
Can I say something that will bring value to your audience?
Absolutely.
A lot of people look for tactics, right? They want me to make videos where I'm on a whiteboard and I'm giving, to your point, I'm going strategy. Mm-hmm. People can call it motivation, mindset, spirituality, you can call it anything you want. I think that's all true. And the way it filters in my brain is that I talk about strategy.
Right.
Strategy. Like, how are you going to attack your life, your business? What's your perspective? What's your mindset, your blueprint to your mindset?
Right.
The reason I don't teach tactics is because I am teaching tactics in my execution of my strategy. Instead of me whiteboarding what I'm doing, you can watch what I'm doing.
Right.
Every day I'm showing you what I'm doing. Every single tile that I put in my Instagram story, what I'm tweeting, who I'm doing photo collabs with, what products I'm selling, who, what, where.
Yeah.
I'm showing you people are like, what should I do? I'm like, do what I do. Am I putting out 4 pieces of content on Instagram? Why am I putting out IGTV in my main feed right now? Do you think for my health?
Right.
Do you think I care about the IGTV queen? I'm putting it out because there's a hypothesis that I think it's getting better reach because IGTV is an important strategy for IG. Thus, in the algorithm, it's a benefit for it to get more reach. Thus, I'm putting it in my feed because I'm trying to build brand awareness because I want to be a father figure at scale.
Right. And you don't really care how you are giving that message across, where you're giving that message across.
In video and audio and written word and cartoons, as long as I want to eliminate friction for you to consume it.
Yeah, and to get the message across. So the one thing that I want to start with, and one of the things that you've been talking about, and you recently did a podcast with those high school students from Philadelphia.
Yes.
And this is a quote you've been saying over and over again. Adversity is the foundation of your success.
Yes.
It's a beautiful quote. It's beautiful because people might be listening to this that are going through a rough time, that are going through tough time. And it's a reminder that at that point, they can change, that they can actually build a foundation through that adversity for success. I want to switch that up though. I don't want to look at success just in a monetary scope. I want to recreate that quote and say, adversity is the foundation of your happiness.
Couldn't agree more.
So where I want to go with that is talk a little bit about my adversity.
Please.
My parents got divorced when I was 5 years old,
okay.
like a lot of people. And I had a little bit of a traumatic childhood kind of going through that and experiencing that, right? And there were times that I was lonely, there were times that I was afraid. But through that process, I became more interested in meditation. I became more interested in personal development.
At what age?
Probably like high school, college. But what I realized is that I was put in that situation, and now I have to figure out a way to get out. But what I want to ask you is, for people that are going through maybe like emotional trauma, emotional difficulty, how can they perceive that adversity as being foundational to their happiness?
By listening to this and believing it's true. I'm being serious. whether it's divorce, whether it's being an immigrant, whether it's the death of a parent, whether it's a critical, it's kids that have cancer right now that are 7, getting bullied, drug abuse, parents, everybody, by the way, being a trust fund baby.
Right. Yeah,
having it perfect. My basic belief is that everybody has it awesome or awful predicated on how they decide to look at it. I grew up in a studio apartment the size of this office at the age that my son is now. I view that I have the advantage over him.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you. I genuinely believe that. Most people don't.
So I guess my point
and
is
real quick, I apologize because I'm on a roll a little bit here. I'm feeling fresh.
Go ahead. Feel it.
There's a lot of stuff here in my opinion. You know how you sometimes hear, whether it was minority, I remember Italians, Irish, Jews, African Americans, women. I love documentaries. And everybody I just mentioned, at some point in my life, I saw a documentary where somebody from an ethnicity or a gender said, and then I saw her. And then I saw Muhammad Ali. And then I saw, Sylvester Stallone win and then I saw, right?
Right.
I believe it's unbelievably important for somebody to see somebody that looks like them, to tell them and inspire them to look at it differently. I believe the singular thing that I will be remembered for is bringing emotional intelligence, EQ, gratitude, empathy, kindness, patience to the forefront of an alpha sport like business. So there's a 19-year-old right now who thinks she's got it bad, who one piece of content makes her think she now has an advantage.
Right.
And forever, her life is different.
And that advantage might be just that hunger. And I also believe that
this scandal about colleges right now,
yeah,
where these kids are getting bought in,
yeah,
I feel bad for those kids. Everyone's like, oh, the other kids that didn't get in. I'm like, that's fine. That's bad too.
I went to a community college.
I went to lower than a community college.
Mountain
College is lower than I believe that the kids that parents paid $2 million for them to get into Harvard are more fucked up now than the kid that had to go to UCLA that couldn't go to Harvard because their spot was taken. You have a kid who knows that they're not good enough and that mommy and daddy buy their way in. That is broken forever.
For sure.
Your parents don't believe in you.
I mean,
what is more devastating than that?
To be straight up with you, when I graduated college,
yes,
I was actually given a good amount of money from my grandfather.
Please.
I tried to start a business.
Yep.
I half-assed it.
Yep.
I felt entitlement.
Of course
you did.
I was
lazy.
Of course you did.
But it's
First of all, you're so goddamn awesome for saying that out loud. I believe what you just said, for the 83 people that hear it, that need to, is game-changing. Do you know how many people admit what just came out of your mouth?
Yeah.
Very few. The fact that you're this young and are able to articulate that is huge.
Why is vulnerability difficult?
Because people care about judgment.
Do you think it's more difficult now where everything is online and everything is transparent?
Yep, but I believe we're in the beginning stages of it becoming easier than ever.
Because of people like you that
Yep.
Yeah.
I sure do.
I want
to live forever, but can't wait to. If somebody walked in right now and said, "I'm going to take a year out of your life," but I'll show you for a day your life at 83, I'd probably say, "How old?" Well, that means I'm older than 83, so I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it." Yeah, man, I know exactly what's happening right now, and I can't fucking wait. This is an incredible conversation what you and I are having.
Yeah,
there was nothing like this going on 4 years ago. There was no conversation like this. Vulnerability, nothing.
Right.
And so I'm very, very, very excited about it.
I want to take a small transition. And obviously this entire conversation, I just love talking about personal development, habit development. One of the things that you've said a lot, and I love it, is you say, my brain is really fucking quiet, right? You say, my brain is really fucking quiet. And there's a statistic that human beings have an average of 50 to 60,000 thoughts per day, 95% of them being repetitive. We're having all these thoughts in our mind that are continuing, and we're waking up the next day and they're continuing. It's like there's this cycle, right? So when you get into a negative place, that's why it takes time to get out of it, because it's compounding. That negativity is compounding, right? what are some tactics or what are some mindsets that people can get into to be able to actually change that projection, to compound that positivity, so that maybe now it's 20,000 thoughts are positive. Maybe the next day it's 22,000.
Many things. Couple things. Who you spend time with and what you consume. Big on that.
Mm-hmm.
The most practical advice to stop the momentum of negativity and start the offense of positivity is predicated on who you spend your time with and what content you consume.
The interesting thing about that, though, is that life is long, right? And sometimes we might be spending time with the right crowd, and sometimes we might not.
But if you're able to contextualize when you are and you aren't,
Yeah. I think I've been able to contextualize that.
great. So now you understand when you're in those periods. Think about how many people have never tasted pure optimism and offense as an ecosystem. They grew up in a negative household,
Yeah.
which then made them listen to negative music, which made them then consume negative content on social media. They haven't felt the massive enforcement of positivity, and when they see it, they deploy cynicism because they think that's bullshit, because they've accepted a framework of cynical negativity.
It's been their reality.
It is their framework,
Right.
right? My older sister said the government is bullshit. My dad said the working man can never get through.
For those people, though, I have to believe that they have the ability to change.
Of course they do. If one person has ever had the ability to change, then humans have the ability to change.
Yeah.
Every single person who says woe is me about parental or environment situations, I'm like, look, if there's one person that you can point to that had drug abuse parents from the ghetto that went on to make it, you now have an example of truth. Right now, I do not believe in aliens. But I'd be pumped to believe in aliens tomorrow if one came down and started hanging out.
You'd probably see it because you got this.
You know what I mean? Like, by the way, that's how it all worked. World is flat, right? Like, just all this stuff. It's really interesting. Show me, and I believe it.
So what's interesting about that, the people, specifically with a childhood, and maybe you go back.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
You three characters. Let's just talk about it for a second. Like, hopefully the camera, I'm sure the audio will pick it up. Do you believe, because you've spent such significant time in our cocoon here working together, right? You're now 3 years? 2. What do you,
6 months.
6 months, you, 9, 6?
10.
10. Like, and don't pander to me. You guys know I don't give a fuck. Like, do you think it's different because it's such offense, such speed, such optimism? Do you believe that you see the world differently because you live in this cocoon?
Oh yeah.
Give me, besides, oh yeah, give me some set.
Whenever I start realizing that I am saying something not necessarily negative, but
Looking for the downside, half glass
but
full.
Right.
Right.
Pops in my head and I.
What do you say?
I reverse that thought.
Because you're like, because you've heard it enough times
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
And?
Think positively, and the other person you're talking to will also think positively.
My thing is like, whenever I'm like just in that mood, I'm like, what do you actually said about? And I'm like, couldn't think of anything. I was like, then you're good. Like what do you actually said about? Like some finances? Like sure.
Rather than joining in
So
a
it's
group
like-
of negativity.
Yeah.
Or like your mom saying get a real job.
Yeah.
No, really.
It's like, am I really sad about that? No.
Of course not.
You know,
Dust, real quick.
go ahead.
Everything you said just before, how growing up and being a cynicism and all that's me. Like
That's what you grew up in?
yeah, and like I made an account that was pretty much all cynicism and
Right, you had a social media account that you would just
yeah,
talk shit.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm just getting tired of it. And even this morning, like I was trying to run past someone on the escalator, and then
Yep.
she said, "Hey, relax," and then I was like, I said something back, but then I realized later, like what? Like,
Why?
I'm stupid. Like what am I doing? Like,
It's really funny you said that. One of the things I think a lot about when people say, hey, relax, or this and that, like the ability to be the bigger person in every situation is
Yeah.
something I've lived now in for quite a while. I take a lot of heat, I get a lot of stuff. And for me, when I don't believe that any other human is impacting me. So like when I heard you say that, like it's either complete disregard or fruitful, funny joke. Like I would turn back to that person. Like I've lived that example because I'm a rushy kind of guy. Like I'd be like, yeah, next time, or like You know, like not
That's
today.
a fundamental belief that you have. And one of the interesting things though is that, so let's just take people, for example, that maybe did bad shit in the past.
Yes.
They made mistakes in the past,
Yep.
right? It's easy to look back on that and say, oh, I'm going to do that again. But there's an inherent bias there because you aren't that person today.
That's such a great
I'm a
point.
different person walking out of this interview with you than I was an hour ago.
And in the reverse, it's why I never have accolades or trophies for what happened yesterday. I believe that tomorrow I could start the process of not being as good of a human being. I'm being dead serious. I genuinely believe you're only as good as your last at bat. I am not high on my own supply. I do not smell my roses. I don't give a fuck. If I now go on to make 17 disproportionately wrong strategic business decisions over the next year, in 36 months, the internet's going to have a field day of dragging me down and laughing at my failures. That's the beauty.
You also don't give a shit about that though.
I don't. Which is,
You don't give a
which
shit
really, listen, it all registers to us,
Yeah.
but ultimately, I need to, just because of the thoughtfulness of this conversation, let me create some clarity of not giving a shit.
Sure.
I hear it all. I see it all, right? Some kid just replied on my post just now, oh man, you're super old. And I replied back to the person running by, but with fun. I said, true, and super happy and successful, comma, you. And I'm razzing. And I hear it all. I see it all. Not giving a shit doesn't mean like sometimes it's a gut punch.
Right.
Former employee took a jab at me the other day, hurt my feelings because I was really good to him. He's claiming that just hurts my feelings.
Sure.
I don't know what to say.
Sure.
On Twitter, used to listen to Gary Vee, just noise now. Hurts. Not giving a shit, AKA, I will not live my life based on other people's opinions.
Right.
I'm a human.
Yeah.
That's the slang of not giving a shit. Not letting that person's judgment
Right.
dictate my behavior.
Sure.
The quick bounce. Got it? The judgment not dictating my behavior. I don't have time to look back at her and say whatever the hell he said to her. I'm in a rush for the reason of like saving that second.
Right.
And I think, and just understanding, like, for me, it's empathy too. That woman, for her to muster up the ability to say, hey, slow down, or where do you interrupt? She's not in a good place. I mean, she's trying to go nice and slow to her job.
I mean, that perspective is something that is built, right? So I wanna ask a little bit more about kind of your mindset when it comes to just feeling stress and anxiety and pressure.
Yes.
So for example, you're gonna go out of this meeting. There's 17 deals that you're working on right now. Someone's going to leave. Something bad's going to happen. Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel that stress? Do you feel, oh shit, this is pressure? Or do you believe that you don't have that same kind of, I don't know, feeling?
I don't have that same kind of feeling.
Okay.
I don't have time. I'm the last line of defense. I don't have the luxury that employees have
Right.
to feel anxiety. I'm on the hook. I've got to put that energy to the solution. I literally don't care about 5 seconds ago. I really don't.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Somebody resigned that's really strong while I was in the meeting that's coming in right now. Verbatim, my reply. Just going to give it to you. This is just like, I'm going to give it to you in real life because I think this brings value to this interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, G, I put in my 2 weeks notice, wanted you to hear it. Oh, son of a bitch, where'd it go away? Jesus, I don't know what just happened to my text. Let's see if it comes back up. But he was basically saying, oh, beautiful. Putting in my 2 weeks notice, wanted you to hear it from me before anybody else. Don't know if you're at Hudson Yards today or soon, but would love to chat with you in person, if no for other reason than to say thank you properly. I reply, right. Oh man, frown. Then, how come? Where are you going? Not my normal reaction. This is an A.
Right.
Google, great opportunity to try to solve new hard problems. My reply, great. I'm so happy for you. Yes, I'm here. Cool, I'll talk to Tyler and try to get some time in the next 2 weeks. I reply, XOXO. That is a person that's such an A that needs an actual replacement, even in my 1,000-person world. It is now put in my checklist of something that needs to be addressed.
And that's all that, yeah. And so for me, to be completely
Not
honest with you.
what most people do.
Yeah.
Why did he leave?
Yeah.
What could I'd done 9 months ago? A million things. I could have had dinner with him 3 weeks ago and he wouldn't have left.
Sure.
Could have.
I mean, I just got out of a relationship, and I've
Yes.
spent the past couple of weeks like ruminating,
Yes.
just thinking,
Yes.
just thinking. And even if I was running a business and somebody left, I'd
Let me
be
say
like,
something
what
real
did I
quick.
do wrong?
A lot of my friends ruminate and they're like, and then when I push back, I'm like, offense, they go, no, I'm going to learn from it. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, a little bit. You may learn the thematic. The problem is the next relationship, she or he is going to be a different context. And so the patterns that you think you learned aren't going to apply to that same person. You may overcorrect.
Right.
You're better to be your pure self and find the natural fit than to over adjust to the next person in a fake environment of who you really are,
Yeah.
thinking that you're correcting something that may not match that person. Ooh, you like that one, huh, Jace? That was cool, right?
That was
I've
good.
never said that before.
Yeah. I've been waiting for that.
You like that one?
Relationship.
Oh, I'm a beast with relationships.
But I think
We're focused on
relationships are
business and
challenging
parenting.
because there's so much emotion involved, and
There's so much emotion in anything you love.
Right.
Business is more emotional to me than relationships at times. So that's hard.
Right.
Right? People with sports or their art or whatever, everything's hard or easy.
right.
Here's my thing. I think gratitude, you're being very thoughtful, and it's making me work a little bit. I'm not just mailing this in, which I
Sure.
appreciate, which is going to give me a lot of good content. I got to tell you, bro, gratitude is it. I'm starting to really, I've been talking about it, but as you're talking, I'm like, why is what he's talking about work for me? It's gratitude. No matter what happens in my life, I immediately go into my kids could get hit by a bus right now and die. Because that actually happens.
And what's interesting
Like,
about
actually, that terrible thing happened in New Zealand today, right? I just read the headline, so I won't talk about it. That actually happened. 49 people, I guess, is the number I heard when I saw the headline this morning. It might be more. But today, 49 people were murdered, in New Zealand, which means 2,000 were disproportionately affected, right? 2,000 people slept last night worrying about making an extra $15 on Instagram, worried about not getting enough likes on their last post, worried about their boss yelled at them, worried about somebody yelled at them on the way up their escalator, worried about their mom doesn't think they have a real job, or this, that, planning a wedding, or whatever.
Right.
And then 4 hours later, their brother, child, mother, or sister died. I am incapable of taking anything serious outside the 11 people I really give a fuck about
Right.
being alive. And if you want to really know about how to drive down anxiousness and concerns and stress, that one.
the crazy thing about that is this comes in this is told in Buddhist text, and this is told that like you don't just learn this, right? Or you don't this is kind of innate in you in a sense. I had to learn it, and I'm still learning it. And that's the interesting thing, right? Like,
Well, that makes sense to me, right? Like some people start off singing like Michael Jackson at 5,
Right.
and other people were on second base, but through incredible amounts of work and singing lessons became Pink, right?
right.
So, yes, I think that I am, in my will, this is real. It says that if emotional intelligence is ever measurable by modern science, I want to be tested.
Right.
Because I think I'm Liberace and Babe Ruth and Muhammad Ali. I do.
Right.
When it comes to natural emotional talents. That's all. It's what makes me happy. What makes me super likable.
Right.
It's what makes me so consumed. I haven't even started.
So for the people like myself, the people listening to this, that maybe it's not so innate, how can we appreciate the fact that we actually have to work harder for it?
Well, I think that if you're listening to this entire thing, you then say, oh, that's like exercise or like working on my slap shot. Like, we have done a great job of talking about the outer. We don't talk about the inner enough to to where you're going. It's about to happen. Meditation's about to be cultural, right?
Yeah.
Like
I love that.
The West is going to take on that. Like, this is real. Like, in the same way, by the way, we didn't take exercise serious 30 years ago. Guys, nobody worked out 35 years ago. We've learned that part. We're about to learn that part about the brain. And all these conversations, my views
Right.
are going to be growing faster in 27 years than they are today.
Why do you believe that?
Because what I think I'm talking about will be more on the consciousness of humans 27 years from today. a bunch of people watch me now and think I'm a blowhard yelling at a camera talking about bullshit.
Yeah. I actually, that was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask. So I draw out this circle kind of, you drop a stone in like a puddle and you see it kind of expand out, right?
Yes.
The people that are closest to you really understand your intention.
Of course.
And the farther you get out,
of course.
I texted a friend before this, or a group chat about coming here.
Yeah.
He's basically like, "Oh, what are you going to blow Gary, bro?" Like, but he's hating on you for being like, he's just a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
He doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
It's all bullshit.
Yep.
How do you think your perspective changes to the mass? I guess to your point, in 27 years, maybe people are more understanding of that intention.
When he is 58
Right.
and his 17-year-old daughter is really struggling, and a single video I made in 2014 changes the course of her happiness, he's going to text you or however we communicate, and he's going to say, "Yo, bro, where do I go to blow Gary?"
That's okay.
I believe that intent and execution, and for me it's fun, right? Because when people want to say he's just a motivational speaker, if we're having like a micro debate, I'm like, yeah, but I build businesses. I'm an entrepreneur that happens to be motivational to some, right? And most importantly, like I view that with empathy. I'll tell you why. Because I do it too. I hate Scottie Pippen.
Yeah,
I hate Rob
Michael
Gronkowski. I hate because that's where I care about like sports, and I don't know those human beings.
You don't really hate them though, Gary.
You're right. I don't, and he doesn't really hate me either.
Right.
He's just doing what we all do. We cast judgment on a couple of headlines because that's what humans like to do. I couldn't agree with you more, and you've probably heard. It seems like you know a lot of context. I always talk about what Alex and Tyler think of me. They know everything. They know everything. They know everything. They just know everything.
Right.
So I care what they think most. Right? If you look at my former assistants, DeMayo, or Phil, or Nate, even for these guys, they can see the admiration difference, and they're the next circle. And they even know the difference between how they look at me. And then the difference between this inner circle, Team Gary, and then, VaynerMedia executives.
Right.
First tier of executives that actually interact with me. Then the ones that don't, they could be completely cynical. They're just not, if you don't touch it, you don't know it.
Right. It's not real.
And I'm okay with that. I think that's the way it should be. And I'm not crippled by his judgment.
I don't think you're crippled by their judgment either.
I'm not. But I will say I value their judgment of me dramatically more than you and much more than your buddy.
Right.
The more one's closer, like you have to, because you can't become delusional. Do you understand?
Explain.
Sure. If they actually don't think I'm great, I'm in trouble because they're too close.
Right.
And that means I become a caricature of myself, and I actually did read my headlines, and I did believe in all those likes. And so in the same way that what are you going to blow Gary? I don't hear. I also don't hear the comments of, you're Jesus, you're the best, you're walk on water. I don't hear them either. Because I can't value the outside that has no true contexts, fluff and goodness and compliments if I'm willing to block out the negativity. I have to be empathetic. So, like I'll say it one more time, their judgment of me not being a good person would be concerning.
I think there's practicality in that.
There just isn't that case.
Right.
Nobody that knows me best thinks of me in any other way than admiration and respect. That's real. You know why? Because I value that more than money. Thus, the only thing that could have been a vulnerability to a natural, nice person was valuing money over a person, which then gave them the ability to judge me.
So I think for the people listening, it's practical because they can audit their circle, and the way their circle is thinking about them can be a reflection of, wow, I might have to change some things.
And that's exactly right. And actually getting your circle to tell you the truth.
Right.
I wouldn't actually, if Jason, Seth, Dustin, I wouldn't actually judge what they think of me by asking them. They're not going to tell me the truth.
Right.
I would judge it based on my own homework, which I spend plenty of time on what they're saying about me to other people.
How's that your homework?
I'm very conscious of what, like within my inner circle, I watch what they do in life, who they've interacted with, like, and things happen, right? Like, I mean, actually, this is crazy. This happened a week ago. I was having a business meeting. 2 minutes. I was having a business meeting and somebody with a new guy, business development meeting, and he goes, "Got to tell you a story." He goes, "I was in the city the other day, and there was a group of 3 young men who were talking about you, and I was listening carefully, and they actually work for you. And the way they were talking about you and admiring you made me 10 times more excited for this meeting." That could have been a very different conversation
For sure.
if I was delusional.
Right. Okay.
The truth always wins.
Couple final questions. This is taken from Tim Ferriss, a Tim
Yes.
Ferriss podcast.
Yes.
When is the last time you cried tears of joy?
I got one. God, it was super recent, actually. I think it's my mom. When I posted, I was in London very recently. We put out the clip. It's hard to tell by the clip. Somebody came up to me and said something, and I basically told them that I don't think I'm anything because all the credit needs to go to my parents. And I said something about my mom, and it made me cry of joy.
That's beautiful.
Yep. I only cry of joy when I talk about my inner 5 or 6 people.
That's it.
And if the Jets win the Super Bowl.
No business when new office opening.
Man, bro, when I tell you, like, if you want, like, you got me there today and I'm giving you a lot of credit. Thanks for putting me in this place. Brother, I do not give a fuck about anything that has to do with business associated with me. My net worth on Google search, when I buy the Jets, it will be
Right.
a business function, and I will not care anywhere close to what people think. If I cared about business, I wouldn't be making this content for free.
Yeah. We wouldn't
I
be
wouldn't
having
be doing
this conversation.
Why in the fuck am I with you guys? This is such a bad use of my time for business.
I gotta do something with these like 60 cases of wine though.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay. Last question. And I might already know the answer to this.
You know,
Actually,
listen, based on the homework clearly you've done, you knew the answer to all these.
So,
Though to your credit, we got into a vibe here where I think I bounced to some different places.
yeah, I appreciate that.
That's you. That's you.
Would you be open to being the 1,001st guest?
Done.
Okay. Last question. If you could go on a road trip, and thank you. For
How many
that, by the
episodes are
way.
you in?
This is the first one.
Good. I gotta
I
tell
got
you.
some time.
I gotta tell you. I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're gonna be here in 7 years.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it, and I can't wait to chop up the content of today. 7 years. I'll be finished with hair. Like,
Yeah,
it's gonna be.
you have a
it's-
white beard.
I'll probably be shaved. I'm gonna, and it's gonna be some gangster content because we're gonna record, and it's all gonna be the same shit. What I said today is gonna be the same shit I say in 7 years. I'm just gonna say it a different way.
If you could go on a road trip with anybody alive or dead, who would you go with?
Randy
and
the
where
Macho
would you
Man
go?
Savage. Where would we go? I would probably go Randy the Macho Man Savage to Atlantic City, which is where he won the WWF title.
Okay.
Macho Man Randy Savage has a lot more to do with the content that I produce than I think I or anybody else realizes.
How's that?
Subconsciously to now consciously, I believe that a lot of my energy on content is a mix between Randy Savage and Chris Rock.
I want to mix in some sort of meditative Buddha type figure in there.
That's what
You're
I'm,
not that
no,
macho.
Ready?
You know what I mean?
You're going to appreciate that. That's what I'm talking about. My delivery style is a Macho Man Randy Savage hype up for a match video
Right.
with a Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor stand up. You're right. What's coming out of my mouth is India, Asia, like old school shit.
Yeah.
How I'm doing it is Macho Man fucking Randy Savage having sex with Richard Pryor. And then that, my friend, of the unbelievable dichotomy between Richard Pryor talking about Buddha shit
Yeah.
is why I'm such an enigma and confusing.
Gary, thank you so much.
You're welcome.